money. So what does Trenton look like in the next 5 years? What changes can folks like us start to do now, to see Trenton look a certain way in 5 years? Or what does it look like for you in 5 years?
I would say definitely. One thing I learned is that, like you said, you want to help, you want to support, you want to be a part of, get involved. When I started to get involved and open my doors for other programming, get behind something that you believe in, and you'll see it. You'll see it. We'll go to one city council meeting, and you never have to go back because you're going to see some things that are going to be like, whoa, what's happening? Recently, I just said I was just at one, and I was just like, wow. But I would say get involved, because I can tell you all day. Corey can tell you all day. Mr. Hernandez can tell you all day. But when you see it for yourself, it does something in our humanity to say like, whoa, what's happening? But I also think that we got to continue to have the conversation. Corey has to continue to educate about his story, his testimony of what happened. Mr. Hernandez can't stop telling her story because it's going to help to pull somebody out. But also we got people in place that are saying, enough. We are going to hold these people accountable. But at the same simultaneously helping our people. But the only way you get to do that is to really get involved, in my opinion.
Well, and we have one that got 33,000 votes right here. Colin Brown.
Hi.
So we're very proud of you and very, very proud that you took that step and you went after the meanest, baddest machine of all. And you showed them, so that get involved.
So I would say, and once again, I love, and Tiana and I and Candia, I've known you since Boot Knot. So I was I moved to Boot Knot when I was 1 year old. So I was 1 year old when I moved to Boot Knot, right? We were very young. But I have to stress, and I love the armor that we wear in terms of like just being true Trentonians and not waiting on anybody to help us. However, if you want your community, it starts with those who sit in seats. Because true change won't happen if certain people are there and we use different terms like gatekeeping, right? Or they're giving people access to the cookie jar who are not here. True effective change will happen when effective people are in seats that control our city. And it has to be somebody who has a vested interest in our communities, in us being able to build, and us being able to be business owners, and us being able to have daycares where you're able to teach them, about even and helping their parents as well. You're teaching the kids, but you're also educating the parents as well. A lot of them have lost hope, but you can't do that, at least here, until there are people who are positioned to be able to truly help us to make that change. So once again, you said the next 5 years. In the next year, folks in this space and those who are online can start that change. Because I can guarantee you, if the same people were in the same seats in 5 years, in our city, and I won't say collectively as a whole, but I'll say the main seat, you all know what that role is, I won't mention it, start with an M. If the same person is in that seat, we're gonna be having these same conversations in the next 5 years.
I'm gonna say both ends. I'm gonna say I agree with you, but I also believe we start educating our people now. We start having we continue to have the conversation now. So when there are people in place that can open doors, they can walk in.
Right. No, absolutely. We have, and that's what we're tasked with. So we are the advocates. We're the ones empowering, educating people to be their best versions of themselves. However, we have to realize that we ain't got the key. Right? So everybody's awarded the key to the city. You go and you become a celebrity and you get the key to the city. That key really don't work. That's the key to hang on your wall. You don't really have the key to get access to those spaces because we're not in those rooms. Let's be clear. So if you really want the key, your key comes through that vote, right? Who you allow to come into your communities and take control and control our resources.
Well, right now, in 5 years, if we let them steal the hotel, and we let
how long has it been sitting vacant?
No, the problem is I've been fighting them.
Right, but how long has it been sitting vacant?
Unfortunately, like 5 years. 5 years was don't be afraid because they are more afraid of us than.
Here, they make what they make. They have families. Right now, we in kind of like a drought because of the whole federal money and all the things. I pulled myself off of payroll. God won't take care of me. But these families, these women cannot be without jobs. They have kids. They have kids. So my standpoint is from a faith perspective. You know what I'm saying? But I believe that we can do the work ourselves. I mean, great mayors and all the politicians and all that. I love it. All that is great.
Not yet. So
All of that is
get
great. But what I'm saying is, as a people, we gotta love each other enough to say, I'm not gonna watch you. To your point, I'm not gonna sit here and turn a blind eye like I don't see this happening. The young lady that walked into my office, I came in and tell you, I didn't know what to do. But I said, I'm gonna tap in every resource until I figure something out. We didn't sleep the night before. We all brainstorming trying to figure it out. You know, we ended up making sure that they had somewhere to be that night. But then the next day I'm on the phone. And I don't have relationships with people like that. But now I'm learning that I have to. And I think that that's another thing. We get, and I'm gonna say we get ourselves, or we get our footing and we get ourselves in these positions to have these businesses and nonprofits and all the things, not realizing that it is the partnership that's going to help the people. You know what I mean? Forget my name, forget the business name, the people. You know what I mean? So. But
I go back to, and I love your mindset, because I think about, we have a 4 C's meeting twice a month, hosted by Pastor Taylor over at Friendship Baptist Church, and all the local businesses and groups go, and we kind of come together and we figure out solutions to be able to help the community as a whole. But I go back to, and I love the way you think, because you're not a victim. You're not a victim. However, there should already be things or plans in place. So you don't have to come up with your own plan. That's why we elect people into seats to come up with a plan. When someone came into this daycare and they said, I am homeless, my kids don't have anywhere to go, they don't have any food, you should have been able to call a 211 or a 311 or a 411 and get connected with resources in Trenton, where they came from, in the city, to usher them and hold their hand and go in.
You know how many times
and provide and get those services.
It's
non-existent.
It's
right? And I'm not taking away from, and I'm sorry, and I'll be sure, I'm not taking away from what's happening in our city, because we do have dedicated civil servants in our city, right, who are doing the work, who actually work for the health department and various departments who are doing the work. However, let's be clear, it's leadership, right? They navigate, they control where the GPS is taking you, which route it's taking you. So let's be clear, there's no shade towards the city of Trenton workers. They work very hard, but there's a cap in terms of what they can do and the decisions they can make. They're not in those spaces, in those private offices, or in those meetings where the decisions are really being made. They just told to show up, work their 8 to 4, their 9 to 5, and go home and keep their mouth shut.
Don't ask too many questions.
Don't ask too many questions. But no, I like that you're solution driven, and we gotta all be that way. However, we still gotta hold folks accountable, because once again, I said millions, you said billions. I'm going to do some more research. But like I said, there are resources here. There's money here. There's places for housing here. I mentioned 2,000 plus abandoned properties. Oh, she got the facts. Okay, hold on a second. 2,000, she got receipts.
But I think it takes a team, though. It takes a team. So we got sitting at this table. You know, like she got receipts, right? She got the number. She gonna sit down with the people and she gonna get them together financially. You gonna get in the room.
But it's amen.
You know
but
what
it
I'm
takes
saying?
a team. But you have to realize that in order, we can come up with all the plans in the world. However, getting access to those dilapidated or to those abandoned properties takes a process. It has to be motivated on. So even though we have all these great plans, if an elected official ain't signing off on it, you know, on you to get those 10 properties that's abandoned to turn into what your plan is.
That happened in Detroit. That happened in Detroit, and guess what happened? A nonprofit was like, okay, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna sign up all the renters and we're gonna have a pipeline of 10,000 people. That's what they did. 10,000 people to buy homes. Right?
Presented this already?
Yes, and then they hunt me down like a dog.
Wow.
And they tried.
But I mean, I think that's important that we're in this space, that if you have receipts, I think collectively together, the community needs to see those receipts and hold people accountable.
Yeah.
Right? So.
Well, that's why they want to. places, hooker bars in South Trenton are just taking from the community, bringing misery, but they're benefiting from the community, but they don't give back. They just go and give a plate of food to take pictures with the leadership, and that's it. But
So is there like a directory where you can access these services in Trenton? Like, is
Sounds
there
good.
something that is
There should be.
If someone walked into your business again and they needed, help, is there like a list of services or organizations that at the touch of a hand that you could reach out to
So
say,
here, very simple. When I used to work at Wells Fargo, I used to see how anybody would walk in and would get $3,000 on a personal tax if your name wasn't Fernandez. And I say, I want to show people that you can do it, even with bad credit, because they keep messing up with stealing my identity, doing all that stuff. I just bought a house, but I didn't say nothing to nobody. It was a nightmare. We need to grab people by the hand and show them how to do things. And if they don't know, we have to do it for them.
And let them sit there and watch it. You be the example.
Exactly.
To your point, and I also feel like there are people in our city who are not in office, who still have had the power to help to make the change. So you don't have to sit in a city official seat to be able to mobilize the people in our community, because they're everyday people. They're ordinary people, and they're looking for ordinary people to come and sit with them and ask them questions about what they're experiencing and what they're going through, and also extend a hand. I think it's also that component. Like you get people who make it, and they do get the education, they do get the resources, they do find out they can do it, but it's not reaching back to say, how many more can I pull with you? Like you said earlier, 1 can reach 10, 10 can reach 1,000. That's for anything.
Yes.
That's for anything. So I think that's another thing. Like, just us regular people coming together saying, we cannot wait for them to do it. We can't wait. And that, I told Candy, I told her I didn't want to speak at first. Because I was just like, I don't like to hear, like, when I hear problems, it gives me anxiety. What's the solution? What is the solution? What do we do what can we do? And that's my thing. I have a whole, like you said, I have a whole program laid out. It's just in prayer right now. But it's a program where I can have transitional housing, where somebody walks through my door, or one of my families who have kids here, they come in the door and they don't have anywhere to go. I can put them in that housing. You know how many places parents are like, well, I can't take my boyfriend. My child's father can't go. Only me and the baby can go. Or if we go together, we gotta go somewhere that's not safe.
For one moment, if I can. So, I love the idea. I love that, and we actually posted it on social media a few days ago. Folks are waiting for people to save us, right? And they ain't coming to save us. However, let's be clear, and we do have to shed light on when these elected officials are running for office, they are making promises to save us. So even though we know it ain't true, right? Because no one should be making a promise that they can't fulfill, we should still hold them accountable.
They are
and I think that is important, because you have people who are speaking for these elected officials, right? And they'll remain nameless for right now. Only for right now. Because we're in a space where we're building. But they're saying, right, they're contradicting these folks they're speaking for, and they're saying, oh, well, they ain't coming to save you. But you just told us a few months ago when you was knocking on my door asking for my vote, you were going to. Oh, they ain't giving you housing, you gotta find your own. Well, you told me that there were over 3,000 abandoned properties in the city. So where are they at now? Oh, well, you gotta have your own. Well, you told me that you were gonna help me. How are you going to help me? And a part of helping me is creating programming that is going to help the residents understand how to properly go through this process, how to properly navigate and become homeowners, change the landscape of their cities. But my issue is not that, trust me, I'm right there with you. They ain't coming to save us. Because being from a place like Trenton, we understand, we feel that thing. We can tell when somebody ain't keeping it real. We know. You're coming here, you're playing with us, you're poverty pimping, right? But we gotta expose that.
Yes.
Because if you're not doing your job, I'm trying to be so respectful. Right? We're in an anointed place today, and we're gonna keep our language good. When I get passionate, I get very passionate.
Me too.
However, stop playing with our community.
Yeah.
That's what we need to say.
Well, no, I'm gonna tell you this. Because that house I wanted it for my mother, right? But I cannot afford it right now because of all this stuff that they're doing to me. So I have to sell it. But that house, I did granite, I did everything beautiful, brand new knew everything. So the people that are getting it is families that was paying $2,800 for, and I went to see it because I wanted to see where they were paying $2,800
money.
in South Trenton
Wow.
for a roach infested,
Wow.
like rat infested thing, a sparkle falling up.
Did someone go and check it out? Did someone call and?
No, I told them, they said because they're afraid because the landlord keeps threatening them.
Oh.
Because one of the persons that live there doesn't have documentation. So, you know what I mean,
Listen,
right?
I'll say this, right? So I own 6 properties here in the city, and it was rumored that I will be seeking a seat, right? I haven't announced anything yet. Well, my landscaper, he cuts all 6 of my properties. He forgot to cut one of the properties. So 2 weeks. I'll admit, it was 2 weeks. So the grass had grown. Maybe it should be here. The grass was about here. Maybe here. I had a letter in my mailbox by Friday.
I got a $2,000 ticket right now that I'm fighting. And
So when we talk about what's happening in Washington, it's happening right
It's
here.
happening right here.
Go against the grain, go against the system, and I promise you, you will suffer the consequences.
I had a $1,500 warrant for my arrest. I got arrested for a $37 parking ticket.
But
I
I
got
think that
arrested.
also
I'm
speaks
sorry,
to
go back to
the
Steve.
emptiness of the home. A lot of them are afraid. A lot of people, Candy is speaking to people and they're going through the things and they're like, if I get put out of here, I have nowhere to go.
Yes.
Like I can't complain but so much
Yeah.
because where am I gonna go?
Where
There is no cushion, there is no safety net. Like I'm just out here with my kids with homeless. So a lot of them sit in silence. They suffer in silence. What?
That's true.
In silence?
All right, I don't want to jump off a Trent stand up, but you got us going.
Yes.
So I have a nonprofit, and my nonprofit is the Corey McNair Foundation. We're going to have an event on September the 6th, and this event specifically was going to be for homeless mothers and their children. And once again, it's been rumored that I'm seeking a seat, but anybody that knows nonprofit work, you can't talk about politics with nonprofit work. You will lose your title. You'll lose it from the state.
Yeah.
And so this individual who will remain nameless for now actually called this organization here in the city and said, if you partner with the Corey McNair Foundation, right? The leadership, I won't even say what title, but the leadership will pull your funding, which is federally illegal.
Same thing just happened to her. That's why this meeting is here.
I
We'll
have.
pull your funding. And we had to find 3 different locations for an event to help out homeless mothers and their children. And thank God for, I don't know if you guys know Reverend Harris. Reverend Harris at Galilee Baptist Church. He said, so you're doing something that's not campaign related. I said, not campaign related. So you ain't making no announcements, you ain't doing nothing campaign related, it's for the people. I said, it's for the people. He said, it's been canceled 3 times because of one person. I said, it's been canceled 3 times because of one person. He said, bring it here. We were able to service 250 families that day.
Wow.
People came from all over the city to come and get free stuff that was donated. We had 2 pallets, 70 boxes of miscellaneous items from household to hygiene. We had people donate gently used clothes. We had non-perishable foods. But if you go against the grain, and you know, Ms. Hernandez, if you go against the grain and you said the same thing happened to you, they will shut it down, right? The people who are in position, they say the machine will shut it down and make sure you suffer the consequences for just taking a step and trying to help.
Trying to help you. Seen so many people suffering
Wow.
unjust, and it breaks my heart because I seen them, and these people come to me and they're like, look at the other way and you're gonna be fine. And I'm like, no. The only thing that I care about is that people know there is other ways, there's hope.
I want to be clear that the system is bigger than Trenton.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's way bigger.
Other folks had their hands in the pot.
Yeah.
It's
Outside
way
of
bigger.
Trenton.
Yeah.
The system is on top of system, on top of system, on top of systems. Like it's a battle that going that way, we're not. We'll be fighting forever.
Yeah.
We get to say we get to help our people. Every last one, everybody in this room has something that they bring to the table.
Right.
Yep.
That they bring to the table. So instead of going into, again, the city hall meeting where everybody's expressing all these issues and nothing's happening, why are we not coming to the table to say, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to run a workshop. You know, can I come over to your building and talk to your people? Or can I come, you come here and do a workshop with my people? Like, exactly. And again, 1, 10, 10, 1,000.
Yeah.
We could change this ourselves.
Yep.
But it's that selfless part that a lot of people do not have. And because I'm committed to live and love and lead like Jesus, I'm going to show up that way. But I'm one person. I am one person, and I think that's the thing. That's why these kind of things I really don't do. Because I'm tired of talking about the problem. We've been talking about the problem since I was a kid.
Right.
We still talking about the problems?
Then would be, where have y'all seen good and bad in the city of Trenton that we can be better in?
I would say working together, if I'm being honest. I see a lot of agendas being pushed, but it's not one central agenda where everybody can back it. It's almost like everybody has to have their name in front of it in mentality, so everybody's trying to get out, and it's just like, well, if we all work together, we can all get out. You know, we can all lift each other up. So I think that, for me, what I've seen is like, nobody wants to stand behind one person and say, let's push an agenda together.
Right.
So,
Can I go? Want me to go? Okay. So once again, I'm Corey Isaiah McNair. So personally, I believe there are two Trentons. You know, we have one Trenton who is tired, right? Sick and tired of being sick and tired. And then we have another Trenton where people see this as an opportunity to come and be able to build off of their own agenda. And so we have a group of folks here in the city who don't know how to properly advocate for themselves. And then we have a group of folks here in the city who said they don't know how to properly advocate for themselves, so we're going to exploit them. And unfortunately, that's happening over and over. And we have folks who are coming here, and for a group that are used to sometimes people helping them, we're expecting for them to be the saviors, when really the veil hasn't been pulled back from our eyes, and they're not the saviors, actually here to make it worse.
Wow. Are living in like a twilight zone where it's like upside down. The good is the bad, and the bad is the good. If you tell the truth, it's bad, because that's not the agenda that they want us to see. They want us to clap like sea lions and be like, yay, every time that they do something that they're supposed to do. They are the servants. They are getting paid with our money. And then when we say, you know, there's people.
The residents lost their trust in the local government, and how do we rebuild the relationship?
I'm gonna start with that. I believe it was when we feel betrayed, because it's like narcissistic relationship with somebody. You go there and they love bomb you every 4 years. And then when you go back, now they don't love you anymore. Now they don't want to even talk to you. So that I believe that we all feel betrayed, because they know the problems, they know how to fix them, but they're choosing to ignore it. Like it's gonna go away. That's what I think.
You go, and then you go last. Okay, so as personally, one part of Corey Isaiah McNair that some folks don't know is I'm an investor here in the city as well. So not only do I work in law enforcement, not only am I a community member, but I also own properties here in the city. I own 6 properties. I have about 13 tenants. And so I would say, not to my form, but I would say that my tenants are the exception, because I personally, growing up here in the city, I take pride in treating the tenants who live in my properties as if, they're someone, if that makes sense. So many times we have folks who are investors, right, from other places who neglect their properties and who neglect the folks that live in their properties. I want the folks who live in my properties to feel as though they can have pride. And when they have pride, they treat your property like it's their own, right? But when they're living in conditions that are unsafe, that are not habitable for animals to live in, I mean, what do you really expect? And so on my side, I would say they have not lost trust, because they know as soon as they call me, you know, I'm thinking about it as if it's my hot water heater that's went, or as if my heat is coming on in my own home, or as if, you know, the whatever nuisance they're dealing with, I'm thinking about it as if it's affecting me personally, and not just a tenant who's living in a property. I think about them as a whole person. One part, I think if they've lost trust, it's because they've been neglected. They've reached out to entities who are supposed to actually advocate for them and help them, and they have not done their part. And then after a while, you know, they always say the squeaky wheel usually gets the oil, but it doesn't seem that way here in this municipality. The squeaky wheel usually gets ignored. And they have to go to platforms like you mentioned, like Trenton Orbit and other places to expose what's happening. And even then, they're ignored even more, and they're told that these folks, they're just making noise.
Right.
And all they're trying to do, like Trent Stand Up, is advocate and help people. And so I take pride in, like I said, making sure that the folks that live in the buildings that I own, that they can feel safe, and they can know that if I call Corey, that he's going to be there, that he's going to show up.
I'll try to say this in a way that doesn't sound crazy, but when I think about the word relationship, I think of a mutual thing. I think that, you know, Corey and I have a relationship. I love Corey. Corey loves me. And our relationship is pretty much mutual. No, do we see each other every day? No, we don't. But if I'm in need, I know that I could call Corey, and vice versa, right? I feel like residents, feel like if I'm in need, there is no one to call.
Right.
So as a nonprofit here with Guided Stages, we're seeing people walk into our door that are coming here because they love Jesus, and they want to learn the word, and they want to be with people who are doing those things. But what's in the way is I really don't have nowhere to stay. I really have nowhere to take my child, right? I don't make 3 times the rent.
Wow.
So I can't pay it. So my thing is, when I think of relationship, the first thing that comes to mind is me as a parent. My 4-year-old and my 2-year-old, they can't reach the top of the cabinet, but I know that they need water. I'm gonna leave water at eye level so they can reach it.
Wow.
I'm not gonna put it out of reach where they can't get it. So they don't have access, and we say it's so many programs. Why don't they have access to them? So if I'm in a relationship with you, I should have access to the things that I need. And if I don't have access to those things, then there is no relationship for real. Because you have what I need, and you won't allow me to be able to have it at arm's reach.
That was good.
As you talk about access, and as you talk about that you yourself have many doors, is there an initiative or some type of program that is helping the residents of Trenton be able to have that access to things like property ownership and business?
So I think that there are programs that exist, but most of the people that I come in contact with don't know anything about them. And here's my thing: we have a demographic of people who live either in public housing or subsidized housing.
Right.
At that point, you're going to tell them that they can only be on these programs for this. You have stipulations in place. Why is not a stipulation that they be educated, so that they know these things exist? Because if we educate them, you open them up to be able to be. The only reason why I have what I have is because I was exposed to it. Had I not been exposed to it, I would know that this was possible for me. So if you have a group of people inside of a housing development, why are we not pushing them from poverty to prosperity, from dependency to self-sufficiency? So you have people coming in saying that this is what we want to do. When you're buying up these blocks, but you're now selling it for $300,000 and $400,000. The people that live here can't afford that. That doesn't make sense, especially when this person qualifies for Section 8, who will then actually help them purchase a home, where they can spend and be paying exactly what they're paying now for their own home. So now they own a thing. To Corey's point, I own this. So yes, I'm going to treat it differently. Yes, I'm going to show up different because this is mine. You give them pride, you give them self-sufficiency, you give them a legacy for their family. So that's the access. That's the access that I feel like if you really wanted to see them thrive, you have access to the people, and you have access to the resources and the education to give them that so that they can stabilize themselves and their families.
Right. Because I believe that one of the number one ways of having prosperity is through ownership. ownership.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
how you become better
Mhm.
with more income, and also able to, send your child to the type of school system that you want to send them to, or to a college. So, I believe that having businesses and property.
Or you're able to make more time now to be able to show up at the school board meeting. So you don't have to send your child outside of your home city to go to school. You get what I'm saying? You got parents that are trying to make a decision. Am I going to show up to the parent-teacher conference, or am I going to get this overtime because I'm barely making it?
Yes.
You understand? Like, so they are making life decisions in the grocery store. It's wild. That is completely wild. So, what are there initiatives that will hold their hand and bring them from one place to another? I haven't seen one, but I'm praying every day for God to open the door so that my nonprofit will be able to do that. We have partnered with some organizations. So if we had a family walk into the door and I had to pull Kendit and like, I don't know, I don't have anywhere for my kids to go. We're sleeping in my car.
And so when I think about exactly what you said in terms of let's go back to housing, right? We know we have over 2,000 abandoned properties here in the city, and there have been some promises that were made from leadership that they would revitalize 1,000 homes. I think it was in 1,000 days. God bless. I don't know if that has happened yet. However, if we look at other cities, I think about Newark, and we look at cities that actually have given homes away for $1, right? But not only did they give those homes away, they created a plan, right? They helped the individuals who were going to be getting those homes, right? They helped them to secure financing to be able to rehab those homes. Because anybody who's ever purchased a home knows that you're getting an FHA, mortgage, first-time homeowner, it has to be a working kitchen and obviously bathroom.
Yeah.
So if I'm getting a property that's dilapidated, that's abandoned from the city, because there's a plan that's out there now, and my team and I were going over looking through social media, and there's now that we're near an election, certain leadership are posting things online. Oh, well, we can give you this home on Hampton, right? We'll give it to you for hardly nothing. All it would take is 80 grand or 90 grand to put into the home to make it habitable. Well, I don't know many folks who have $80,000 or $90,000 in their bank account to rehab a home.
Right.
They're not getting an FHA loan because, once again, I said this home has to have a kitchen and a bathroom. They don't. Most of them don't have windows or even a roof. I had a friend, and I'll go back to that 80 or 90 grand to rehab. I had a friend who bought a home from one of the city auctions, and he said, "I'm finally going to be an investor. I'm finally going to be a landlord. I'm so excited. I'm going to fix this home up, and I'm going to make a lot of money." And he went. It was a home off Stuyvesant Avenue. He was a blind buy. He went. He purchased the property. He got the deed. He's excited. He drives over, parks his car on Stuyvesant at the corner of the street, and walks down, sees the house, the wall. He's like, "Oh, great." He goes, looks around the side of the wall, and there's nothing behind it.
I'm sorry.
There was nothing that was there.
Wow.
So here we are selling empty promises, empty dreams to the folks who are here in our city. We got to do better. You look at cities like Newark. We are the capital. Let's be clear. We don't get back to capital status. However, they are the largest city in New Jersey. They changed their city blocks at a time. They changed their city blocks at a time. But they didn't just give them false promises and false hope. They created a plan and helped them to be able to revitalize their communities. That's what we have to do here.
Well, I have to.
Everybody really know the history of each state and pretty much wherever your house is placed. That's how you determine how they would deal with your city, how much money you put into your school systems and stuff. And so for me, I feel like we still carry that mentality. So it's like, how do we get out the mentality of we don't deserve anything as a city to we deserve everything?
So it's not just we carry the mentality, it still reigns true. I can remember I bought my first home right out of college at 22 years old back in 2011. I finished undergrad at NJCU, and I was going to get that 203K you mentioned, right? So that loan where you get your FHA, but a 203K is a loan that's connected to that mortgage, where they'll do the repairs that you wouldn't traditionally be able to afford for you, and they'll include the cost into your mortgage. So I was buying a home, and at the time, I wish the market was now what it was back then, because I would have a few more properties. But it it was much lower, much less for the properties. And because of the amount that I was paying for the property and the amount that I was making, they were taking me through the ringer. Literally, I can remember having to submit an itemized list, right? So they wanted to know I was getting the bathroom and the kitchen done. So they wanted to know first, how much was it for the tile, right, that we were putting on the floor. Then they wanted a breakdown of how much would the contractor charge to install the tile. Then they wanted how much is it for the sheetrock. And then how much would the contractor charge to actually install the sheetrock, and then so on and so forth, to where we had pages and pages and pages of documents, and the home was less than $100,000, right? And so after being in that back and forth with, and I won't mention the bank right now I won't, but maybe later. After going back and forth for 6 full months, I literally, in my 22-year-old mind, I drafted an email and I CC'd everyone on it. And before I knew it, that bank, the person who was the regional vice president, was allegedly in her hospital bed. And she emailed me back, and then she called me from the hospital and said, we're gonna refund your appraisal, we're gonna refund some other fee they had charged me, and we're gonna clear you, and if you want, you can leave and go somewhere else. So it took me 6 months to close, and then I went to a small mortgage company and closed in a month, right? So I had never closed with that bank. So it was intentional, right? They didn't want to give me that mortgage.
It is intentional.
Because of where I was geographically sat, which was in West Trenton,
Yep.
right? So my property is right near the projects, right over near Roger Gardens or Oakland Street Apartments, they call it now. I'm right around the corner from Stuyvesant Avenue, not Hilltonia, but the other side of Stuyvesant. And they probably, I don't know exactly what they assumed, but I mentioned all of that in this email without being an attorney, and they refunded me money I didn't even pay to them because they knew they were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as redlining, it ain't just
We
a
are.
rumor. It's happening, real life. It's
We are,
happening. It
because
happens.
we may, I always said, and I learned this in the banking system, being poor is very expensive. It is very expensive, and we are, but because they make so much money out of us, because they are not gonna go and invest $70,000 in a home in Jersey City and get the same amount of rent that you get in Jersey
Right.
City. How is possible, like I said, that a 3-bedroom that look like closets costs $2,800 for rent here in Trenton? That is what is happening right now.